guys, it's Brian. So I wanted to make a video talking through my experience of doing my first 9-day meditation retreat. It was an incredible experience to say the least, and there's so much to say about it, but I want to make it enjoyable to watch too. So I'm going to do a little art time lapse of a piece that I just did a couple weeks ago, this pastel wave that I'm actually really happy with how it came out. And then I'll dub over that me kind of walking you through my experience of these 9 days. And if you've ever been, interested in meditating and learning more about that and kind of engaging with your mind on a deeper level in a different way than you ever get a chance to in your normal day-to-day life, definitely stay tuned and listen to as I go through my experience, because I have a feeling that a lot of you out there, especially if you're friends of mine or engage with me in any way, are already kind of interested in that as well and might be looking for maybe to hear someone's experience of what spending that time in practice with your mind and meditation is really like. So I'm just sharing my experience. There's a lot to say, so stay tuned and we'll get into it. All right, let's get into it. So I wanted to use this video as an opportunity to kind of talk about my experience doing my very first 9-day meditation retreat. And it was life-changing, to say the least. And life-changing in so many different ways, from super simple, almost mundane ways to really profound ways. So I'm going to do my best to, over the next 15 minutes or so, just kind of break down some of my biggest takeaways. And keep in mind that this retreat just ended less than 5 days ago, so I'm still processing through quite a bit. But the first big realization that I had, spending 9 days basically meditating from 9 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night with about, I would say, maybe 2 hours total break over the entire course of the day. And a lot of times that time was spent really silent. I really made it a point to, when I was on breaks, to not get on my phone too much, to definitely not make phone calls. I really wanted to use this time to be in like a contemplative space, because it's so foreign in our modern day-to-day lives to give ourselves the opportunity to really be with ourselves and with our minds and with our spirits. And as a kid, I was always enamored by like monasteries and monks and like the Tibetan monks and the Shaolin monks, and just the idea of living that type of austere and aesthetic lifestyle. So this was a really cool opportunity to me to kind of explore those waters and see where my mind went, And the first thing I realized was it is really hard to sit still for that long. Your body, you think you're in good shape and you think, oh, I'm just going to sit, and whether you're sitting in a chair or whether you're sitting on a meditation cushion, your legs are crossed, no matter what position you're in, it gets hard after a while to just sit still. And I think part of it is because physically we're always moving. We're always moving, especially here in New York. We walk everywhere, we climb upstairs every day. A lot of us work out on a day-to-day basis. We live active lives. And because our body is constantly moving, that kind of precipitates our mind constantly moving as well. So one of the big things that people would say when I told them that I was heading on a meditation retreat is they either say, oh my God, that's amazing, I want to do something like that so bad, I hope you have fun, or they'll be like, I could never do that, I could never sit still for that long. And I think that's a symptom of kind of a sickness in our culture. So the first thing that really hit me in the face was just how it felt to sit still for that long. So that took some getting used to, for sure. And, after a while, you just start using the physical discomfort that you might be feeling as just another object of meditation to bring you back to the present moment. And the basic technique of meditation that we were using in this retreat is a technique called shamatha, which is I believe a Sanskrit word that basically stands for peaceful abiding. So the idea is that you're just peacefully abiding with whatever is arising in your experience. And the object of focus of your awareness is the sensations of your breath. So it's the sensation of your breath going in and out, whether it's your nose or your mouth, or the sensations of your chest rising and falling as you breathe, or your diaphragm expanding, or just the overall sensation of how it feels to breathe, the natural breath. And as you're being aware of this, you're not trying to control the breath, you're not trying to slow it down. You're really taking like a hands-off approach to the breath. You're just letting yourself naturally sit and be and breathe. And then you're paying attention to the sensations of that breath. It seems super simple, but it's a lot harder than it sounds, especially at first when you might be new to this. And then inevitably what happens while you're focusing on the breath is your attention drifts or your awareness drifts somewhere else. Maybe it's a bodily sensation you're having, maybe it's a noise going on in the room. Most of the time it's some type of thought or a memory. Maybe you're thinking about what you have to do. Maybe you're thinking about, oh my God, why did I sign up for this meditation retreat? I can't sit still for this long. Or how long is it till lunch? I'm hungry. Or, any number of mundane kind of just run-of-the-mill thoughts that might come up at first. And when you get pulled away from your breath, you just start gently and kindly redirecting your attention back to your breath. And the biggest teaching at first as we were doing this retreat is to really take a calm and kind and gentle approach with ourselves. And that's another hard thing for a lot of us in our modern society to do, is to actually be kind and generous with ourselves. We're so used to wanting to achieve and get it right that when our awareness gets drifted away from our breath, we start judging ourselves for it and saying, oh, I messed up again, right? So that was the first kind of thing you have to let go of. And luckily I've had a meditation practice for a while now, so I'm pretty good at doing that and approaching any meditation session with the sense of gentleness and kindness towards myself and not this agenda where it's like I have to achieve something. I'm getting good at just being with what is. But sitting for that long, from 9 in the morning till 8:30 at night for the retreat that I did was 7 days, and then I did an additional weekend of meditation training. So total, I was basically sitting and meditating for about 9 days straight. So that is something that you could imagine gives your mind the opportunity to settle down in a way that's just not available to it in your normal day-to-day life. Even if you're taking a couple days off, if you're still a lot of times doing stuff. You're doing laundry, you're running grocery errands, you're always doing something or going somewhere. You always have some type of occupation or an agenda. So this was a totally unique opportunity to just be with myself without any agenda whatsoever. And that sounds super relaxing, and on one hand it is, but on another hand, it's quite intimate and quite intense because there's nowhere for your mind to run. There's nothing for you to occupy yourself with. So whatever is there in your subconscious mind, in your memories, maybe it's emotions that you haven't quite processed or dealt with, maybe it's past traumas or painful memories, there's an opportunity for those things to come up and rise to the surface. And that's part of what we're doing through meditation, is we're actually allowing ourselves to feel what we feel. Because so many times something happens to us in this day and age, and we skip right over it. We don't actually process what's happening. We don't actually give ourselves a chance to feel the emotions and the feelings going through our bodies because we're just simply so busy. So the first couple of days of the meditation retreat were very, very, I'd say, tumultuous for me. I came into the retreat with a lot of anxiety and stress around a lot of different things, just some things going on in my life over the last several months, and nothing catastrophic and nothing really crazy, but just feeling run down and bogged down with just what it's like to live in New York City and what it's like to just be a modern person trying to make money and support myself and get ready and plan a wedding and growing up and just coming into my own more as a man, and just all of these different things that when I'm so used to just getting to the next appointment or getting to the next phone call or making dinner or working out or focusing on what I have to do, you never really give yourself a chance to really process not only what's happened to you and what is going to happen to you, but how you feel right now in the moment. So the first big striking thing for me the first couple of days of the retreat was just these waves of anxiousness and anxiety and emotion And at first, there were definite thoughts tied to them, right? So it was like, okay, I'm anxious about this thing, or I'm sad about this thing, right? But after a while, as your mind starts to slowly settle down, and as you're able to keep your concentration on your breath for longer and longer periods of time without getting totally taken away by thought, what naturally starts to happen is you start to have feelings and emotions and sensations come up in your body that don't seem to have any definite reference point. So it's not like I remember, a girl in fifth grade making fun of me, or being bullied as a kid, and like that's what makes me feel sad, or that's what makes me feel anxious. It's more like I'm sitting on the cushion and I'm being with my breath, and I'm feeling generally settled, but then all of a sudden, like this just feeling of grief, of like loss comes up, and it doesn't seem to be attached to anything. And then part of the technique is just allowing whatever arises to arise, and not feeding into it with more negative energy, but just letting it be, and feeling what you feel, and not judging yourself for feeling it, but just feeling whatever is coming up. And then what would happen is I'd have these feelings come up, or I'd have these sensations come up, and it didn't seem to be tied to anything. And then out of nowhere, I'd have a memory again from when I was in like third grade or fourth grade or fifth grade, or just some deep down memory that wasn't necessarily being repressed. It just wasn't something I had thought about in a long, long time. So your mind, as it settles down, at least in my experience over these last 9 days, while the wave of thoughts and the crazy, like constant rapid thinking starts to slow down, it almost gives the ability for more subconscious and not often thought about things to come up and rise to the surface, and you have a chance to actually see them and be with them. So that was an education in and of itself. What was really interesting is you start to see, as these thoughts and as these feelings come up, you start to see your own self-judgments around certain things. So you start to notice, at least for me, I notice how judgmental about myself I was and can be and have a tendency to be sometimes. I noticed different behavior patterns in my life that I guess didn't realize were so deeply ingrained until you're spending time doing nothing, and then all of your different cravings and desires and aversions and judgments start coming to the surface because you're not doing anything to, satisfy them or shield yourself from them. There's nothing to basically hide from. There's nothing to basically hide with. There's nothing, no video game to play, no phone app to play with to keep you from what's coming up in your immediate experience of reality. So a lot of deep stuff came up for me, and there's a lot that I still need to process. But the beautiful thing about it is, over time, as you're doing this day in and day out, and you're sticking with it, and yes, you're physically exhausted sometimes, you're mentally exhausted sometimes, but you're in a container with other people who are all doing the same work on themselves. So the feeling of community is really beautiful, and it really helps you to go deeper into your experience. So as you start noticing all of those things, the other thing that starts happening is, as your whole system and your body calms down, sometimes you have these waves of just like intense fatigue and tiredness. I mean, like not even 11 a.m. and I'm dozing off on the cushion. And I got a full night's sleep the night before. So it's like our energy systems are so taxed by our modern life that when we have a chance to really calm down in this way, it's like almost like our body is catching up to us, and recovering in a way. So that's a really beautiful thing that happened and that I noticed. And the next thing that I kind of noticed was heightened sense perceptions. So like my vision got really clear and acute, and since I wasn't occupying my mind with anything, after a while the simplest little things that I would have definitely overlooked before became extremely like interesting to me. So I'll use an example. Like one day on the retreat, I was making a cup of tea, and I'm dipping the tea bag into the water, and I'm noticing the reflection of the light off of the water as the tea bag is going in and out of it, and it was like the most compelling thing I had seen. It was like watching the most amazing Netflix TV show, yet all I'm doing is making tea. So like the simplicity of life and the entertainment and just the simple things in our lives becomes more apparent to you. It's almost like you're seeing a deeper level of reality than you normally are aware of as you're running from place to place to place and doing what you need to do on a day-to-day basis. So your levels of perception kind of open up in a way where colors seem more vivid and sound is more crisp. One of the practices we did over the retreat was to eat contemplative lunch together. So basically, all the retreat members are in the meditation hall together, eating lunch in total silence. No one's looking at their phones, and everyone's eating pretty healthy, simple food. But what's amazing about it is I have never had a salad or a smoothie or, just a basic dish of food that tasted so good as the meals that I had on this meditation retreat. And it's just so interesting, like when you remove all the distractions that we normally have to your present experience, it's like you're actually able to experience the beauty of what you're doing right in front of you. So that was an amazing thing. And it made me think about all the different things I do on a day-to-day basis that I'm not actually fully present for. I mean, think about your life. How many times have you been out to dinner with someone? Have you been on the phone with someone? Have you been doing a task that doesn't even involve someone else, but you're doing a task and you're only kind of 80% focused on the task you're doing because maybe you're answering emails, but then every 5 seconds you're checking your Instagram, or you're out to dinner with someone and they're talking to you, but you're not really even looking in their eyes and connecting. You're looking around the environment. You might even be checking your phone, which is just now to me seems like the rudest thing of all time after having this experience, and you're not actually really present with that other person. So your ability to be present for your life moment to moment becomes heightened. And because you're more present to your life, you start noticing things that you wouldn't normally notice. So small things like people's body language or someone's energy, right? Or, these nonverbal cues that so much of our communication is based on, that a lot of times if we're not really focused on the person in front of us, we don't even pick up on. So your ability to communicate and empathize with other people and their situations becomes better because you yourself are quieting down. You're quieting your mind down. You're taming your mind so you can actually be more receptive and perceptive to the world around you. So that was a big takeaway for me from this whole experience. And then there's a level of just feeling settled that starts to take a hold. For me, it happened around day 3 or 4, where I really started to sink into the groove of this simple life of contemplation, where I became okay with the fact that I was going to get up in the morning at 6, get dressed, stretch a little bit, maybe drink a small cup of tea, and then head right to the meditation center for a whole day of meditation, a whole day of doing nothing but just sitting with my thoughts. And after the 3rd or 4th day, it became joyous. It became really joy-filled and almost like I was connecting to a part of myself that was always there, but just you lose sight of because your life is just so busy and so full of things you have to do and places you have to go. So really feeling like an intimacy with myself and with my heart and with my spirit was a really beautiful, beautiful thing. And it brought a lot of emotions up for me. I mean, I remember one day, it might have been the 4th or 5th day, we were doing walking meditation, and I just started tearing up out of nowhere. And it wasn't a sad cry, it wasn't sad tears. It was based on any type of grief. It wasn't happy tears. It was just this beautiful, poignant, just little bout of maybe 30 seconds of just this sweet, sweet crying that came from, I don't even know where. I think it just came from being human and just feeling the gratitude and beauty that it is to be here in a body and to be alive and to experience this life. And, I started tearing up, and I looked up from the ground. I was doing my walking meditation. I looked around at all these other people, none of whom I knew more than their first name, none of whom I said more than 3 words to whatsoever. And I felt a genuine love for all of these people in this room, because I saw how brave they all were and how brave we all were to sit there and actually give ourselves a chance to be with ourselves, to do something as revolutionary as sit and meditate and be with our own minds in a culture that's constantly telling us not to. It's constantly telling us to distract ourselves with this social media app or this show or this movie or this food or this drug or this substance. Our culture is constantly telling us to not be here now. And I looked at this group of 40 people or 30 people or whatever it was at that point of the retreat and just felt this compassion for all of them and for all of humanity. Because the other thing you realize as you quiet yourself down and as you start having this profound experience is you start to really hurt and ache for all the people in this world that don't even realize how confused they are, don't even realize how many things in their life that they think of as problems or dramas or different things are 100% self-imposed because they're just not seeing things clearly. They're confused. Their mind is just jumbled up in all of these different judgments and desires and things that are all based on, either self-aggression or, aggression towards someone else or anger or hurt or all of these different emotions that they just haven't fully processed. So you start seeing that, and you see the profound power of this practice to kind of show you who you really are. And then you start to give people a break. You start to look at the people in the subway that used to annoy you because they would shove their way into the train, and you start to see that as like, wow, it's so sad. Like, it's so sad that those people just can't be with the situation arising as it is, that they have to shove in front of people and forget their basic human decency because they're so concerned with getting where they need to get. Meanwhile, there's really nowhere we need to get. We're always right here, right now, and everyone's in such a rush trying to get somewhere. But then when we all get to where we want to go, we find that place that we thought we wanted to get to is often way more empty than we thought. So there's just so much to say about this retreat experience, and I really, really believe that this is an experience that every single person should have, especially in this culture here in the United States, because we are so distracted nowadays. Our attention is so scattered to 1,000 different directions that simply just giving yourself a real chance to just be with yourself and experience that without having to do anything, without having to achieve anything, without having to call anyone, without having to take anything, without having to eat anything, without having to do anything, we can experience this poignant, beautiful, deep experience of our present moment in which we feel totally at home and at peace and grateful and just wonderful to be alive. Like, that is an amazing, amazing gift. And it takes work to get there because you have to sit with yourself and allow yourself to come down from the high that is being a person in a modern society. And after 9 days, I feel so settled. I feel so good. And not good meaning good versus bad, but just good, like content and joyful with whatever comes in my life right now. And it's something that I want to keep up. And I'm so happy and grateful that my own meditation practice has been so deepened by this. You start to understand what it means to live and experience reality without all of these thoughts going through your head. Like, imagine what it would be like to walk in the city in the morning and look at people and look at the sights and sounds without constantly having all these concepts in your head about, oh, that person looks like they do that job, or that person looks like they're angry, or that's a gross rat that's dirty, or, all these cars are just rushing everywhere. Like, all of the stories we tell ourselves in our head about reality rather than just experiencing reality directly as it is. And there's something so beautiful and so poignant and, dare I say, sacred about experiencing reality, experiencing our life experience in a pure, innocent way before we start adding all of our own judgments on top of it, right? So drinking that smoothie from Juice Press or wherever you got it before comparing it to other smoothies you've had, or before, saying, oh, this is going to fill me up, or whatever story your mind starts conjuring up that takes you one step away from the direct experience you're having, right? When you can settle your mind and have your mind be peaceful enough to actually experience your life in a direct way, not in a way through concepts of I have to go here and do this, I am identified as this, I am a real estate agent, I need to get on the subway and go to this place. But when you can just be simple and innocent in your life, it is a really, really beautiful and poignant thing. And I'm still processing a lot of it, and it's changed some of my perspectives on some of my own habits and some of my own conditioned patterns of behavior, some of my own thoughts and beliefs about myself and about my life and about just my values and things that I think are important and how I should structure my day. And yeah, it's shifted a lot, and it's been really, really transformative in so many different ways. And I love the people that I went through this experience with, even though I barely know any of them. I just feel a genuine love and connection for them, for total strangers. So it really opened my heart in a big way too. So yeah, I've been ranting for, let's see, 25 minutes now. Jeez, I might try to do this again. I don't know if I got all of my points out, but I hope you guys got something from listening to my experience of this meditation retreat. It's something that I'll remember. It's something that I'm absolutely going to do again, and it's something that I want to take deeper. And if there's one thing that I've done that I really feel like could be the cure-all for so many different things and ailments in the world, I really believe it's meditation at this point. It's just such a powerful practice. So I hope you enjoy listening to this, and if you feel inspired to kind of seek out meditation for yourself and maybe try it out, I definitely encourage you to do so. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So be well. Best wishes to you and yours, and talk to you soon.